Hey, what's up, everybody? Gene Fetty back at you with another episode of the All Access Podcast now from Dent Repair Now. I guess at what point do I stop saying now from Dent Repair Now and it's just from Dent Repair Now? Anyways, we're still in the transition. Doesn't matter. It is Monday. I told you guys new episodes on Monday. However, you probably are noticing that it was not sitting in your podcast player when you woke up this morning, and it wasn't that 7 a.m. YouTube premiere that I like to do. It snowed here this weekend. I had every intention of coming in yesterday and recording the podcast. However, Mother Nature decided that that's not going to happen, and you're going to clean snow all day. So I think we ended up with close to 6-8 inches. Did my driveway a couple of times, had to help my father-in-law with his driveway, pack all that up, go to my mom's house, do her driveway, fix the snowblower. It was a day. And when I sat down from being inside or from being outside all day, I needed a nap. This old guy was cold and tired, and it was nap time. So instead of recording this show yesterday, I took a nap. And it was much needed. And then last night, it was family time. It was gingerbread day. So we started this a few years ago with an exchange student, and then we brought it back with the kids as they get a little bit older. And we did custom gingerbread houses, which, by the way, is a live competition on our Facebook, on my personal Facebook. Gene Fetty, not Dent Repair Now or the Access or anything. If we are friends on Facebook, head over to my Facebook feed, find the post that I shared from Melissa, check out all of the great gingerbreads that we built, and vote on your favorite. And I promise I will not tell you which one is mine. Anyways, yeah, go check it out. Go vote if we are friends on Facebook. Love to see what you guys think. So this episode is not going to be a real long episode, and I apologize if there's banging in the background, even though everybody that I've talked to that listens says when I'm sweating these sounds, nobody else can hear them because I try to keep the mic pretty dialed down, but they are beating on a couple of panels back in the shop, and I hear customers coming through the door. So hopefully it's not too annoying. I'll try to just talk over it, and we'll go from there. This episode, I want to talk about training and the different types of training that are out there and what's available, and sort of put my 2 cents in. I keep seeing, and maybe it's because it's the off season, maybe it's because the beginners group feed shows up in my feed all the time. I'm seeing a lot of negativity, maybe a little extra negativity towards training, towards beginner training, towards online training. I want to give you my 2 cents, or maybe 5 cents, since we don't do pennies anymore, on training styles and types. And I'd love your feedback on what kind of training works best for you. What kind of training did you have to get into the business? What trainings have you attended since you've been in the business to help you become a better tech? I'm just curious. So let me start by saying there is no perfect training. There is no best perfect training for everybody. I think the most crucial thing that anybody looking for any kind of training in this space can or should look for is connecting with your instructor, connecting with your mentor, finding an instructor or teacher that teaches how you learn. I know I have a very particular learning style. I also have a very particular teaching style that isn't necessarily for everybody. I see some of these other guys. So I see Jesse Haw and Dean with Legacy Dent. They are both, I would call it, down the rabbit hole of super, super technical knowledge. They want to talk about, and maybe more so Dean than Jesse, both good instructors, by the way, understanding how the metal works, almost, at least from reading the posts, down to a molecular level and how it displaces. Very, I would almost call it like an engineer or an engineering style approach. My brain shuts down when I start going, when somebody wants to start going deep like that. It just doesn't work for me. However, I've talked to several of Dean's students, and man, they love his teaching style. They love what he shows them and how he shows it to them, and that is fantastic. Find an instructor that teaches you how you learn, or even better, find an instructor that can change or modify their teaching style to your learning style. I would call maybe that that's what's going to make the most amazing teacher, I think, is that teacher who's not stuck in one way and can show things. So, types of training, right? Let's start with the top. I would think that the best possible kind of training, whether you're talking about like beginner PDR or learning glute pull repair or advanced training or semi-advanced training or full-on like Bryce Kelly training, in person, hands-on with you, the student, on a car, has to be the best. Asterisks, provided you're with a good instructor, right? Because I've also had students come back in here that had gone for different trainings and that were quote unquote one-on-one or in person. But there wasn't much teaching that went on. And it was like, there's a dent. Here's how you push it, fix it. See you later. I got to go do stuff. That's not teaching. That's not training. So, right, with that asterisk, as long as you are working with an instructor that can teach you and will teach you and is hands-on and over your shoulder, got to be the best, right? Next up would still be, depending on what you're trying to learn, right? If we're going to talk some more advanced skills, pun intended, maybe, would be or could be a seminar like PDR College's Advanced Skills Seminar, or like Jonathan, from a couple of weeks ago. I think their training is kicking off tomorrow. I think it's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I just got a picture of Danny and Jean sitting together in Belgium. So maybe they're not teaching yet, but tomorrow, right? Small group with instructors showing one-on-one. I'm not sure what they'll have hands-on, but like Advanced Skills Seminar this year, they had 5 or 6 stations where you weren't just spoken at or spoken to, right? You actually got to work with instructors and do a little bit of one-on-one and put that into play. Then, of course, there are seminars where there is no hands-on, and it all is all completely spoken to you, shown to you. Then small groups, right? Not necessarily one-on-one, but one instructor to a handful of technicians, or a couple, like level up, like we've done here in the past, two instructors to a handful of technicians, where you're getting that one-on-one, but it sort of comes at a savings, right? Because you're not paying for all that instructor's time, right? You're spreading that out amongst people. Those all have their ups and downs, their pluses and minuses. Again, finding that right instructor for you with what you're trying to learn, where you're trying to go, has to be the absolute key. So one-on-one training, and, again, asterisk, good one-on-one training with a good instructor is going to be your best. When you're trying to learn this trade or improve your skill set, right? We're not talking just to beginners. We're talking to like a somebody coming to me for an advanced level up style course, or going to Bryce Kelly, or beginner, like you've never learned before. One-on-one is going to be downside, the most expensive. Upside, the fastest way to success. Whether you're learning PDR from scratch, or you are learning smashes, or you're learning technically difficult repairs, all of this comes with nuance, right? You can all understand that learning PDR or growing in PDR comes down to nuances that are, as we talk later, right, in online or on your own training. There are nuances that matter that are just incredibly difficult to see or show any way other than in person and over the shoulder. But again, it comes at a cost. It's not scalable as a trainer. It's not scalable to be one-on-one and work with only one person at a time. It's doable. It's a model. You can make money doing it, but you can't. You're not going to scale. You're never going to get rich doing that. Even somebody like Bryce, bringing in one-on-one. I've talked to a bunch of his students, and I've heard nothing but absolutely amazing things about Bryce's training, as I would expect. I really wouldn't expect anything less from such an amazing technician and an amazing person, right? It's just a super, super dude. When you're there, you've got hands-on, you're watching him work, like you are in the thick of it, and there are real cars coming through the door that he's working on and teaching on and showing you. It really is something to see and something to do. He's got to be the best one-on-one smash trainer around, right? Or really, maybe even the best smash trainer around. Even some of these other guys who are incredible technicians don't have the teaching background that Bryce has. Right, Bryce would be amazing there. When we shift away from advanced training and we start to talk about beginner training, in my opinion, I think your best bet, if you want to set yourself up for the most or the best chance of success, set yourself up for speed, right? And we'll take a little side note here in a second. One-on-one, long-term, multi-week, potentially even multi-month training, albeit the most expensive way to learn. I would argue that it's not just the most expensive way to learn, it's the most profitable way to learn. Nuances in PDR, like you need to build those up. You need to start from scratch, start from zero, and learn this whole new skill set as you're working up and beginning to be able to make a high spot accurately and knock down a high spot accurately, to fixing a small dent, to fixing a smaller high spot, to fixing a larger dent, and so on and so forth. If you can have somebody over your shoulder showing you and teaching you how to do that, magic is going to happen. Now, that being said, make sure it's a trainer that you can get with. So Mike Seawald at Gateway Dent in the St. Louis market, I've heard fantastic things from. I guess he was an ex-Dent Wizard trainer. It's a 6-week program. Several of my friends have sent their sons to Mike for training, and they come out and they're fixing dents already. That is a serious testament to, one, Mike being a great instructor and having it dialed in, but two, being completely engulfed in or surrounded by training. All you're doing is just PDR all day, every day. That's going to make a difference. That's a whole lot different than learning at your house and sneaking out to the garage for an hour after you worked all day, right? Total immersion. That's the word I was looking for. Total immersion in PDR. And of course, right, somebody like Mike Toledo out at Dent Time / Dent Trainer. Mike has a huge catalog of students that he's trained, and offers that big, long, multi-week training. Don Kavanaugh up at Dentcraft, again, in person, long-term, super successful. That is where it's at, right? So I would say maybe there's not a perfect training, but the best training is going to be some sort of one-on-one training with, and I can't stress that enough, with an instructor that works well and teaches well the way you learn, right? That is so incredibly important. Get after it. Then, I'm sort of, I guess I'm not torn. The next best, in my opinion, kind of training is going to be small group hands-on, right? So like our level up training that me and John did. Side note, if you are interested in potentially joining Level Up for the last week of February 2026, send me or Jean a DM. We're putting some feelers out to see if this is a class that we're going to put on. And if we don't have enough interest, we're not going to put it on, because it is a whole ton of work, not only to put it on, but to lead up to it. All of Jean's travel to get in, getting all the damage set up. It's a ton of work. So if you're interested, if you think you're interested, send me a DM. Let's talk about it. Zero pressure. I'm not a hardcore sale. I mean, I'll close you if I need to close you, but I'm not a hardcore sales guy. If it's not right, I don't want you here. If you can't afford it, I don't want you here. So if you're thinking about it, hit me up. So level it up. Jean, I'm sure you're listening. Make sure you share this episode. Tell them to hit us up. Go back and listen to some of the old episodes with Jean, and where we talked about level up, because it's going to be a very similar level up this year, or this coming year, if we can put it together. So anyways, 1-2, instead of one-on-one, 1-2, a handful, where you get that one-on-one attention. I would argue that maybe that is going to be the best possible training, because in that small group, you're still going to get that over-the-shoulder look. You're still going to be able to get the time with the instructor to help literally lead you on your way, show you what's going on, and steer you in the proper direction, without having to take the entire burden of the cost of the expense for that instructor of one-on-one. So, as a business, right, as a trainer, you need to make X number of dollars per day or per week or per month or whatever your equation is. And if one person wants to buy your time, which is, what you're selling, your time and your knowledge, if you're in one-on-one, you are paying for that entire time, right? Be it a day, a week, a month, multiple months, whatever it is. If you can get into a good group setting, a good small group setting, you can then take some of that cost and spread it amongst the other students without giving up much of the attention to detail, right? I think maybe that's the best way to go. If we're talking, if money is an object, right, and it probably is, that's going to be your most affordable, but most rewarding program. Like KECO does their 5-day GPR plus trainings in Oklahoma City. And really, for what that is, it's 1 or 2 instructors to a handful of students. Excellent, incredible value, right? Same kind of idea. So another way to think about it. Now, probably my least favorite, although still fun, and I still enjoy them, would be seminar type instruction, or even, talk about like an education day at MTE kind of deal, where you're just being spoken to and just shown and just talked about. Is there value in it? Absolutely. Am I going to go to MTE and talk? Absolutely. Stick around to the end and I'll tell you what we're going to talk about. but you're not getting any engagement, right? It's, you know, you can learn a lot, but Charlie, the guy who got me into the business, hit me hard with this one years ago when I was just starting. When there was, I can't remember if it was the medical channel or the health channel, or it was something along those lines. Um, I had gone to paintball and was back and practicing. And I'm like, Charlie, can I just sit and watch you so I can like try to figure out the magic sauce that I'm missing? And he's like, dude, you can sit down and watch me all you want. He goes, I can go home and watch all the brain surgeries I want on the health channel, but I can't go do brain surgery. He's like, I don't care if you watch. It doesn't bother me. You're not going to learn what you need to learn just sitting there and watching. And I was like, damn, that was a little harsh. Still a little hurt by that, Charlie. You could have helped. I'm not really hurt. We're good. Um, they're exciting. I always come back from seminar type talks, engaged, excited, and I really do learn things there. At some point in your career, and I've probably said it on the show here before. I know I've said it publicly. When you reach a certain level in your career or in your skill set, it's not likely that you're going to go to a certainly not a big group training and learn something that completely changes and shifts your whole world. Not likely, not impossible, but not likely. What I'm always looking for is, like, if you think of NASCAR, right? And they're running around the track, they get 400 laps on the track. They're not looking for something that's going to save them 10 seconds on a lap. It doesn't exist. They're looking for something that might be 100th of a second over each lap, right? Or maybe even 1,000th of a second, I guess, if that math would work. And then you would be 400th of a second. I'm a dent guy, man, not a math guy. But anyways, what they're looking for is something that gives them just that slight little edge that they can then take and apply to that entire, in this case, race, that entire track, that one little tweak that lets them go just a fraction of a second faster. When I go to a seminar or a talk or even online, if I can pick up one little thing that makes me the equivalent of that 100th of a second faster or better or cleaner on a repair, I'm not just applying that to my repair that day or just that day. I get to compound that over the rest of my career. If I can take that new thing I learned and apply it to the rest of my career, I'm winning. So, example, Advanced Skills Seminar. I've talked about it on a couple episodes. Bryce keeps a heavy, like, baby sledge. I think the one I have is 2 pounds. I went and bought it. Something along the lines of a 2-pound hammer, where I would have probably, prior to Advanced Skills Seminar, grabbed like my big Craftsman hammer. I don't know what that weighs, but it's not 2 pounds. And you're trying to move an edge, you're trying to move something big, and you're making this big, uncontrolled swing. Bryce uses this little baby sledge, and he's got a leather-wrapped face, and instead of this big, wow, you're just like bump, 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 but it has all that weight behind it, so you're moving nice and easy and clean. You're not wearing yourself out. You're able to strike accurately because you're not swinging so far. You're not covering so much distance. That is one little thing that I picked up from Bryce at Advanced Skills this year that I can now and will apply to the entirety of the rest of my career, and I will continue to win because I picked that up, right? So I don't want you guys to think that I'm like dogging group learning, because it's there, right? Like, I will learn everything I can learn, but it's different, right? When me and Jean did the first level up, I think we did level up in Smash School. It was or it was 2 separate classes the first time we did it. We've now incorporated it all into one. We did these really sharp dents, and I think you probably heard this on here as well before, but it's still a good story. With these really sharp dents that if you push perfectly and accurately, go incredibly fast and incredibly clean, and they look super simple. And we both showed our own approaches. Jean uses a cherry cap. I use a phenolic tip. That's the big difference at the end of the day. But we can both fix them very quickly, very cleanly, and efficiently. Everybody watched us teach that. And before we sent them on their own, right, the in-person, hands-on approach, everybody in the class was like, oh, yeah, we got this. Bro, what do you mean? Like, really? You're showing us this? And then they all went and proceeded to eat shit on those dents that looked easy. They followed the process that we said to follow, they thought, and they missed. And they made a mess, and everybody struggled on that dent. Until, right, here's the in-person, we were able to walk around the room and correct each person and show them what they're doing wrong. And we got them up to speed and got them to where they could fix that dent, right? That's the idea. But, I tell that story because if it were just a showing seminar, like a show and tell, where even if we set up cameras and show everything, looks super simple, you think you got it until you go back in real life and try it yourself and you don't got it, right? Big difference there. So pluses and minuses to all of those. And I think that brings us to, let me go back through my notes, large group, small group, beginner level training. We're going to talk a little bit of beginner training, but also start to dive into online. You know what? We're going to skip beginner. We're going to go straight into online. If I can get on my soapbox, and I would stand up and get on a soapbox, but I only have one camera going, and then the green screen wouldn't work, and it's a whole mess. So just pretend, if you're watching the video, that I'm up on my soapbox. And if you are, listening, here, that's my soapbox, and I'm going to hop on it and stand in it. Make up your freaking mind. All of you, across the board, make up your mind. Because here's what I hear and have heard for a long time, right? Maybe this is a little bit of a rant. Everybody wants online, or everybody wants in-person training. And I've already just said that in-person training, one-on-one, or even one on small group is the best you can get. But it takes the most commitment and has the most cost. So, I want to get better. I want in-person training. Okay, great. Now you need to hop on an airplane or hop in your car and drive to where this training is going to be and get a hotel and eat 3 meals a day out, or 2 meals a day, or 1 meal a day if you're on OMAD and doing fasting. Now you need to travel and get there and spend time and be away from your family and not make any money, and you're gone, and then you're paying a premium to be in person with an instructor. And then all these people, all of you people, you know who you are, and I love you, and I've been there. Oh, man, it's too expensive. I can't do online, or I can't do in-person training. That doesn't make any sense. It has to be, I can't do it. I had a bad year. It didn't hail enough. I have to pawn my Rolex. I just put a big lift on my truck. I can't get there. All right, fine. I've got a great solution for you. Incredible, amazing technical online training. It's way more affordable. Do it at your own pace. Whenever you want to do it. You can go back and revisit it. You can go watch the lesson 1,000 times if you want to watch it 1,000 times to get it down into your head. I just don't know. I just don't know if I can learn online. Okay, well then come in person. Well, I can't go in person because it's too expensive. Well, how much money are you costing yourself by not spending any money and not making a commitment and not trying to find that 100th of a second or 1,000th of a second to get around the track a little bit faster? Like, bro, come on. Make a freaking decision and do it. These guys who dog online training, I get it. Like, I've watched some maybe not stellar online training. Maybe all of my online training isn't perfect, but there's good online training out there. I show stuff in the trainings we've put together. I'm able to, I call it our technician's eye view. Maybe I should trademark that or patent that or something. We're able to zoom in with these cameras and show detail and nuances that simply you can't see in person. Certainly as a beginner, when you're learning, you can't see the detail that we see. I've seen that with several beginners that I've trained where I'm like, oh, it's right here. And they're like, oh, it looks good to me. I'm like, no, you don't see it? And then I'll pull the camera out and put it up on a screen. And instead of that flaw being a 16th or 32nd of an inch, right now it's up on screen and it's a half an inch and they can see it and they can go back and forth and make it happen. Online definitely has a serious place in training today. Even, like Bryce, as busy as he is and amazing as he is in person, has an online smash school, right? His training is available online. He drops a new video every month that goes super into depth and shows you all of his tactics. A couple advantages there. One, you get to see real world working through, and a good online class can't hide things, right? They're going to be able to show you the nuances that are there. Two, I can't tell you, but I probably have notebooks somewhere here, like full of notes that I took somewhere that I haven't gone back and reread, or lessons that I've learned that I didn't take notes on, that I was like, oh, I got this, I can remember it, and then you forget the nuances. With a good online library, with good online training, you can go and watch it again, right? You can dive back in. You can fast forward and rewind, and fast forward and rewind, or rewind and fast forward, and watch exactly what's happening. See exactly how these moves are coming out. And with that being said, I've got friends that learned 100% how to do PDR online. They've not had in-person training, right? They watched, a lot of them have watched Mike's videos, and they've taken, they're YouTube certified, but they put the reps in and they went back and learned and learned and learned and learned. I know that a lot of concepts, a lot of approaches, be it in Smash or in beginner land, are very simple concepts. I think whether you're thinking about, going to a Bryce for a Smash school or coming to a level up, or, maybe you're one of the body techs that listens to this and you want to get better at glue pulling, or, right, you're a beginner and you're just trying to figure out where to start. There are programs out there that can help you get started, get the ball rolling in the right direction. Then in turn, you can sit back and practice and work on your own and get better. Or it can be a stepping stone towards one-on-one or one-on small group training, where instead of coming in empty and unskilled and blind, you're able to come in with ideas and concepts and real world what's the word? Experience. I don't know if it's experience. Real world reps. Maybe if it's not real world experience, it's real world reps in on some of these. I don't want to say basic because we can even get into advanced, more simple to understand concepts. Real world PDR, right? I've sent a ton of potential newbies to Real World PDR to check out Jim's beginner session, right? His beginner group of videos, right? It's a jump off point. I have intro to PDR through GPR, right? And I'm going to be talking a whole lot more about that over the next month or so. But I think, right, you can learn the basics of PDR and get your journey started literally with some tabs, a mini lifter, a knockdown, a hammer, and a light, right? I think you can do a ton of stuff and teach yourself a ton of stuff with good, proper instruction. Glute pull repair, right? The GPR masterclass broken down into, I can't remember how many different chapters, right? We can get you up to speed with glute pull fast. I know in person's better. I do. But I know it's a big ask to get that in-person training, right? So quit sitting on the sidelines and being that armchair quarterback and start thinking about, man, how can I level up and move into a better direction? Denttrainer.com, right? Mike has a huge, maybe the biggest catalog of online training and classes out there. Real World PDR has a big catalog. I know Dean from Legacy Dent just launched an online portal. Dent Slayer, right? Matt and James have their beginner training with Dent Slayer. You can really learn a ton online and then apply yourself, right? So we opened this up with finding the right instructor that teaches how you teach, or no, finding the right instructor that teaches how you learn or that can adapt to how you learn is magical. You cannot, I don't care what you do, you cannot replace your metal time, right? Whether you're a beginner learning how to place a tab on a little dent or learning how to see your tip for that first push, or you're a seasoned pro looking to get better, to learn the nuances of how to unfold a smash, unlock the metal, get rid of those nasty egg crowns in concave areas with lateral tension and outward pressure and big clean knockdowns. If you're not going to put the reps in, I don't care what training you get, be it one-on-one, one-on-small, seminars, online, you need to commit to yourself and put the reps in to become the technician that you want to be. Like, that is what it is all about. So, end of rant. Let me see. Online. Yep. Mistakes. Yep. Yep. Figure out where you're at. Figure out what you need, what you're looking for, and find that instructor that will help you learn and get to where you want to be. Whew. So, end of that little rant, or whatever you would like to call that, our little soiree into some training talk. What is going on in the dent world? This Wednesday, so that is going to be the 17th, at 6 p.m. Eastern, there's going to be like the MTE Super Show. I'm not sure if it's Dent Nerds or if it is Dents and Dreams, but I believe Mr. Vidine is running it. I will be on there, and I think Sheldon K, Kevin Bird, they'll both be on, and I think it is all of the podcasters that are going to be doing, or most of the podcasters that are going to be doing a show from Radio Row will be on there as well. Looking forward to that. That's always a good time when you get a bunch of PDR people together talking business. MTE's coming up, right? So Wednesday is the Beginner's Day. I am speaking in the afternoon on Glute Pull 101. On Thursday, Education Day, I will be talking unlocking and staying unlocked for KECO, right? Putting that KECO shirt back on. I'm excited to come out of a little KECO retirement for that. And then in the afternoon, Matt Moore and myself will be emceeing the Shop Owners Roundtable. Ryan Shutt of RPS Dent Specialists, Doug Hillius out of Seattle, and the Patricks, Andy and Amanda Patrick of Dapper Dent Repair outside of Nashville, will all be on stage to share some of their wisdom and how they've grown their businesses and what that all looks like. Super excited to be there. And I'm always pumped to go to MTE. Level up. If you are thinking about it, contemplating it, would like to learn more, send myself or Zan, a DM, and we're happy to talk about it. I would love to make that class happen. It will be, if we can do it, it will be the last week of February here in Pittsburgh. Beautiful, sunny. It won't be sunny. It'll be kind of cold. Pittsburgh. But, right, we've got good food, and the shop's nice and warm. It's a good way to spend, hopefully, the last slow winter week learning and leveling up. So when the busy season comes, you are ready to hit the ground running and make better, faster, cleaner repairs. And more importantly, make more money. That's what it's all about. Keith, I think you're a regular listener now. Shout out to PDR College. I love that you guys have been putting a few episodes out. I hope you are completely back on the podcast bandwagon. Although I am not mobile anymore, I still look forward to listening to every show. Back in the day, I couldn't wait to go to work on Monday so I could fire up my iPhone and hit the podcast app and catch that new episode. Guys, thanks for doing that. I'm excited to listen. I love listening. I'm in the middle of the shop versus mobile episode right now. So, Keith, I'm in my drywall prison, but we've got some windows installed, so it's nice to see outside. What else? Keep an eye out. We've got some new beginner stuff coming up. I'm excited for that. We are in the process of moving all of the old episodes over to the Dent Repair Now YouTube channel. Excited to have that moved over and everything here. We have transitioned fully from AAI to Dent Repair Now. So if you go to autoappearanceinstitute.com, it will forward you to dentrepairnow.com/institute, where you have access to all of the classes and courses that you have signed up for. What else? I think that's about it. Yes. And I'm recovered from shoveling snow. I did have to go do a rental house this morning, or I would have recorded this earlier. But I think we're on a warming trend after we get out of these ridiculously cold days. I think it's supposed to be 50 and rainy here on Thursday. That'll melt all this garbage off, clean the roads up, and people will be able to see their dents, and we will be able to fix their dents for them and get it all taken care of. So super excited for that. That is episode number 48, I think, in the books. Ooh, we're going to hit 50 real soon. I'm going to hit 50 in April. Let's see, 22. Yeah, we will hit 50 before the end of the year. I've got 2 more episodes to go. One of the next 2 episodes before the end of the year will be my end of the year tool wrap up with some reviews, talking about some of my favorite tools of the year, a little bit more in depth than we did on the Cyber Monday Black Friday deal. And hopefully the new studio will be set up, or at least to a level where I can get my table out and get a couple cameras going and really give you guys some in-depth looks at some of my favorite stuff from the year. As always, go follow us on social at Dent Repair Now across the board. Give us a like. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you hit that subscribe and hit the bell for notifications. Jack Bucknell, I'm talking to you. Make sure you're on the Dent Repair Now YouTube, not the old AAI YouTube. I don't want any excuses on why you're not watching my videos. All right, guys. Thanks so much for listening. I will catch you on the next show, and hopefully we don't get snowed out, and it'll be live for you at 7 a.m. Eastern next Monday. See ya. All right, found it. Couldn't find the end button. All right, now we're leaving. See ya.